in my opinion, this time of year is the perfect time to try out sobriety. These go down a little treat, let me tell you that. A little trick. We can make fun drinks too. One of the reasons why I believe it is one of the most dangerous drugs out there. Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Tatty, and I have, on this day of recording, been sober for 1,695 days. And sobriety is something that means so much to me, and it's so important, and I get so many questions on socials and in real life every single time I go out, really. So I thought I would do a full YouTube video and kind of like a full breakdown on why I went sober, my tips and tricks, and why, in my opinion, this time of year is the perfect time to try out sobriety. And my reasons for that are, you know, we're past Christmas, a big drinking period for so many people, and we're not quite in beer garden weather yet, we're not quite in holiday season, festivals, concerts, blah, blah, blah. So now is a great time to give it a go if you are interested in it, but I just thought this is a great time to chat full sobriety without any interruptions. So let's get into it. I'm going to split this video into little portions. I've got a little Q&A that you guys have submitted your questions from. I'm going to talk about my experience and then also my little tips and tricks. But before we get into everything, why don't we make a little drink together? On my spam account, I did a come shop with me for some of my sober essentials, and I forgot how much I absolutely love a peach and lemonade. This is my go-to. I'm actually going to use my laptop as a coaster, which is probably the most tatty-coded thing you've ever heard. I have this little glass, this little martini glass from Dash. So I'm just gonna do a little sprinkle of peach juice. This is just like the perfect summer drink, and these have both been in the fridge as well, so super refreshing. And this is one thing that I have learned over time, like your sober drinks don't have to be just like a Coke or a Pepsi or a lemonade. We can make fun drinks too. I did also get some like poppy and non-alcoholic cocktails as well, but I was just craving this little number. Okay, so let's start with one of the main questions. Why did I decide to go sober? This is a bit of a long story, so stick with me. So I went sober on the 27th of July 2021 when I was 21 years old. And it's kind of been a cultivation of things. I had put a lot of work into myself during lockdown. I had been in months and months of therapy for an eating disorder. And I felt as though I had finally overcome that and I was really getting back to myself again. I had had this eating disorder for about 10 years, so I was really discovering me, myself, and like where I saw myself in the world and how I viewed myself. And then I went away to an amazing place in Wales with some really good friends at the time, and I only drank maybe, my drink of choice at the time was an Echo Falls, and I would maybe have like a small glass of wine and then top it all the way up with lemonade. So I was really like diluting the drink, as we will. And I drank that full bottle of wine over the course of 3-4 days. So I wasn't like binge drinking like you normally would on a friendship holiday, but all of that work that I'd done on myself during lockdown just completely disappeared, and I was so anxious, I was self-deprecating, I had all of these eating disorder thoughts again, and I just thought, I don't know if this is worth it. Like, I'd done a bit of research already into anxiety, and I'm a very anxious person. So that was the main catalyst to it all and the main reason why. Later on in my life, a few months after this actually, I realised that I had had thoughts whilst drinking, which I have never admitted this, that I would get more and more aggressive. Around this time I also noticed that the more I drank, the more I was having like aggressive thoughts. I don't know how to describe this other than like, I would want to start fights with people over things that I would not ever, I mean I would never start fights anyway, but I found myself getting rage, like, and I'm not even talking like just fist fights, like I was wanting to like do some horrible stuff to people, which if you know me, that's just not who I am. I'm not that person at all, and it started to scare me a little bit, and I thought, I don't want to grow up doing this, like having to worry about am I going to hurt someone, having to have Jordan worry about me or my family or anything like that. So that also played into it a little bit, and I also decided that maybe this is something I could give a go and just see how we got on from there. I'm a very competitive person, so as soon as them days started ticking by and I did more and more sober things and realised I could do it, I was like, I'm just going to see how far I can get with this and go from there. And to this day, that is kind of how I see it going for me. I don't believe I will ever drink again. I I'm now kind of thinking about what my children's relationship with alcohol be. Like, will I allow them to drink? Which I think I probably will, because I'm not here to tell anyone whether they should or shouldn't drink. I'm just here to sort of advise and give advice and, you know, my experience of sobriety. So yeah, that's sort of my path so far. And then it's only within the past year or so that I've been confidently saying that I will never drink again, for a couple of reasons why we'll talk in this video. Okay, so I wrote a couple of notes on some things that I wish more people knew about consuming alcohol and the effects of it on our body and on our minds. We obviously all know about the anxiety side of things and the loss of control, and also like it affects people's sleep like quite substantially, which I also don't know that people are aware of. So let me get my little facts up here. So these are all taken from different studies and stuff. I will leave all of my sources down below, and I will obviously say if things are my opinion versus like actual studied facts. I don't want to scare anyone. I don't want to make anyone feel ashamed or anything like that. I'm sure there's things I do in my life that other people would be like, shameful. I don't do drugs, I don't smoke, I don't, you know, whatever, but you know, it is what it is. So let's just start off with like what actually is alcohol. So we've been using alcohol or ethanol for many centuries. It was originally used for medical purposes, cleaning, you know, killing bacteria and wounds or on surfaces. But in the years, as the years and centuries have gone by, we have now started using alcohol to de-stress, to consume, to change our state of mind, to let loose, those types of things. One of my favourite little facts about alcohol, which I always make sure to bring up, is that alcohol is actually water and fat soluble, unlike any other drug. So it is able to attach onto any receptor within the body, which is one of the reasons why I believe it is one of the most dangerous drugs out there. Apart from the fact that it is like so easily accessible, it's normalised, XYZ. I also feel like I should probably preface, I have very strong opinions on alcohol, but they are opinions and I don't want to push them on anyone else. You do whatever you want to do, like I said. So like I just said, ethanol, which is I guess the proper term for alcohol, is the only form of alcohol that we can consume safely. So here's what happens when we drink. We consume the ethanol. Our body then transforms this using NAD to acetaldehyde, which kills cells. This is not good for us at all. So then it goes through another chemical reaction which transforms it to acetate. So we've had our first or second drink at this time. After about this, depending on your body, your frontal cortex is going to shut down. So this is the part of the brain which is used for planning and impulse control and behaviour. So you know when you're drinking and you'll like just say something really randomly and you're thinking, why have I just said that? Or you do these crazy things because you haven't had time to really think about it. It's because part of your brain is actually sort of shutting down. And this is usually when you start to see people's volume get a little louder, they start gesticulating a little bit more. And another favourite fact I love, the way you are when you're drunk or you have been drinking starts to bleed into your sober life. The more you drink, the more your brain chemistry changes, so you become more impulsive in real life. Your inhibitions completely lower to that state that you would be if you were drinking, which I just think is incredible that our brain reacts that way. And this is also why, if you think about someone in your life that's a very heavy drinker, as years and years have gone on, they've maybe become a little bit more, you know, lower inhibitions, they've gone a little bit more like, I don't want to say off the rails, but they have that like craziness about them. And the reason why our brain starts to do this is because when we drink, our brain has to react quicker to things to get things moving more in the body so that we can keep ourselves all right. We actually increase the amount of synapses within the brain. So if you don't know what a synapse is, it's like little bits that kind of touch together that pass the electromagnetic things, impulses through the brain. So we actually move quicker, our bodies react quicker, which is why we do these wild, crazy things. So we obviously know about the anxiety side of things, and if you ever felt a bit of a crash after you've been drinking, well, they found in chronic drinkers, which I believe is like 3 to 4 drinks a night average, or 12 drinks over the week. So that can be classified as on a Saturday and Sunday, you're having 12 drinks, or a Friday and Saturday you're having 12 drinks, or that 12 drinks is spread across the entire week. This can over time start to really cause degenerative memory loss in the brain, which is just... No, I wanted to present a really balanced argument here. I've just mentioned a couple of things that maybe aren't so great about alcohol. So I did a little research into what are actually the benefits of alcohol. Now there's a lot of talk around resveratrol, which if you've heard of Cordalis resveratrol lift, it comes from the grape, which is used to create alcohol and wine and whatnot. About how that can actually maybe be good for you. there's been a lot of research into that, and the outcome of that study was that actually it doesn't, because the negatives still massively outweigh the positives of the resveratrol effect. But also, I'm not here to like sit on my high horse. Alcohol does some very good things for a lot of people. It lowers people's, anxiety levels about a night out. It makes people more sociable. It allows them to do things they maybe wouldn't be able to do, or the fun that they'd be able to have whilst they're sober. Some people don't feel comfortable hitting a dance floor completely sober, and that's absolutely fine. And at the end of the day, everything comes back down to there is no safe amount of alcohol to consume. So that's kind of like the medical facts behind that. There's also a lot of research into like breast cancer effects on women from drinking, obviously the effects on the liver, etc. But I'm not going to go too much into that in this video. I've made another video on TikTok if you want to go and learn all about that. So these are all the things that I learned that I was like, yeah, that's not for me. I'm gonna go teetotal for the rest of my life. That was the core factors that made me realise that I don't ever want to drink again. I feel like over these past 5 years, I built up a lot of skills that actually, those positives I mentioned about being social or lower inhibitions, I now am able to like almost flick a switch where I can turn on my drunk brain and let loose a little bit, and that has fed through into my day-to-day life. So tomorrow I'm going on a night out, I'll be dancing, I'm not going to worry about how I look. That's something I've had to really train myself to get used to over time. So if you see me out and think, oh my god, she's so good at doing this sober thing, trust me, it's taken me a long time to get where I am. And I always tell people, do it once. It's probably not going to be the best experience. Keep doing it and you're going to build up them skills, and that is what I want this video to be about. So let's get into your guys' questions. The first question actually ties really nicely into this video. How do you deal with the sunny weather and beer garden culture? Here's the thing, guys. I am a slag for a beer garden. Get me specifically in a Spoons. I love a Spoons. A Spoons beer garden, cheeky little friggin' Pepsi Max, or I don't know, like what is my summer drink? Oh, I love a lime and lemonade. Love a lime and lemonade, something super refreshing. And little trick, don't ask for a virgin mojito, ask for a lime and lemonade, and then ask for some mint leaves to be put inside. You will only be charged for the lime and lemonade, not mocktail prices, because those mocktail prices just, why am I paying £9 for something that is just syrup and water? That's my little tip there. So my biggest tip for going anywhere where there's going to be that drinking culture, go with the right people. If you can spend hours and hours and hours and hours and hours with people when they are sober, but you find when they're drunk, you can't stand them, maybe something in them changes and happens, they're probably not the right people to be going to those activities with, right? You'll find out who your people are in those circumstances. And then if you are going out with people that you really enjoy being around, and then at some point you're like, I don't really like this anymore, everyone's getting a bit rambunctious, everyone's getting a bit loud, I'm a bit overwhelmed, there's two things you can do. I will always find myself having a quiet 5-10 minutes away. Often this is normally like the wee hours of the morning on a night out. Just go take yourself to the toilet, sit on the toilet, watch some TikToks, just decompress for a little bit. I find at points in a night I get very, very overloaded, like sensitivity wise, like lights, loudness, often it's very hot. Just take yourself for 5 minutes, reboot, refresh, get back out there. I don't know if you're talking about like beer garden culture of like, let's have a drink, why aren't you drinking, do you want a cig, things like that. I know a lot of people like love a little ciggy when it gets to like over 20 degrees outside, little gin and tonic. I would always say if people are pressuring you to drink, just honestly, I would just be very, very firm. Say like, no thank you, I'm not drinking today. I think sometimes that's easier for people to understand than no, I don't drink. Depends what type of conversation you want to be having, because there's so many times I'm like, oh, I'm sober, and people go, why? I'm like, oh, just for my mental health. And then we go down this massive path of like, have I had an addiction or X, Y, Z. Just say like, oh, I'm not drinking today, I'm going to drive, or whatever you want to deal with that day. And if people are pushing, just say, I'm really sorry, I didn't understand. This honestly is kind of passive aggressive, but I've done it sometimes, it quite often shuts people up. I didn't understand my drinking would affect you so much. My not drinking would affect you so much. Like, it's not going to affect your night. I'm going to be just as fun as I normally am. And then if it gets too much, or you don't want to be there anymore, things are getting too much for you, just leave. Like, So yeah guys, I'm just gonna head off now, like, you know, I'm a bit tired, and if you're around the right people, no one is gonna judge you for that. And this kind of leads on to my point of the video. Now is the perfect time to be going out and having a good time sober, getting used to it, getting your practice in. You know how I just said about at the start it was not easy for me, I really struggled socially, and I had to flex that muscle and really build the muscle of letting myself be myself and having a great time dancing or chatting shy in a smoking area. If you are having a bad time on a night out, go to a smoking area. You don't have to smoke, just go chat to people outside, because often that's what everyone is expecting from a smoking area anyway, is a good old little yap and a cig. You just don't do the cig part. Okay, next question. What hobbies and healthy habits do you use to fill the gap? Thoughts of going back? Ooh, hobbies and healthy habits. I don't really have any hobbies. This is a topic of my life recently. Like, I've not really been able to, I don't really have any hobbies. Like, everything I do is either work or it's the gym, which I guess is a hobby. And maybe that actually ties into it, because the gym for me is it's an emotional release. I'm getting those endorphins going without having to like put anything in my body. I'm socializing at the gym now as well, which is really lovely. I have such a nice group of friends at the gym. So that helps me. And also I know so many people where if they've had a bad day, they'll go to the gym, they'll get a sweat on, they'll get a pump on, and they'll feel a lot better. And you know, you're kind of killing two birds with one stone there. You're getting your body moving and you're getting those good endorphins running. Thoughts on going back? I know that I will never drink again, and I'm very good at knowing that and sticking to my boundaries there. When I have thought it before, I just think it goes back to that competition of what's the point? Why would I give up on day 1522? Why would I give up on day 2647? I've come this far. Why? I don't find any lack in my life from not having alcohol. I think it's absolutely the reverse. That is the main thing. I just think like I would be so disappointed in myself, and I'd ruin my streak so much by drinking. John and I were actually having a conversation about it not that long ago, and he was like, so like, on our wedding you're not going to drink? And I was like, no. He said, well, what if you like end up at the Golden Globes and you're winning a Golden Globe for your podcast? No, I'm not going to drink. Like, why? I've had so many incredible milestones so far that I haven't drank through. I don't need alcohol to celebrate things. And I think in the UK that is something that is very, very ingrained in our culture. Like, we go out after work for, maybe we've hit a good pitch. I don't know, I work on my own, this is my job. Maybe we've like got a new client, or we've had a bad day at work, or you've got a promotion, you go out for dinner and drinks. You go on a night out to celebrate people's birthdays. A lot of our culture in the UK is centred around drinking and about alcohol. You know, like, it's a rite of passage as a young person to go and drink in a field and get hammered in a field and throw up in a bush. It is within our culture to do that, and I think our generation, if you're part of my journey, we are starting to break that a little bit. And even the people closest to me, it was very hard for them to understand it when I first started doing it. Like, my parents would be like, oh, just have a drink, or so you're not drinking tonight then, why? And they're just conversations that you're going to have to get past. And if it's important to you, it's important to you. And you know, you can, like I said, you just don't have to drink for that night. You are well within your rights to dictate when and where you want/don't want to drink. You can do whatever you want, it's your body, you have the right to it. Please don't let anyone pressure you to do anything like that. So I think, yeah, the things that keep me not from drinking are the competition I'm in with myself, and also those facts that I said at the beginning. Like, it's very important to me that I keep my brain sharp. I'm a self-employed girl, like, I have to be productive, otherwise nothing happens. And I'm trying to maximise my workload this year. So, you know, they're all things that are really important to me. So, how did you find enjoying a night out, being sober, and gain confidence? I found your journey very inspiring. Thank you so much. I actually really can't remember the first night out I went sober on. It can't have been that bad. It can't have obviously been that traumatising. Yeah, I can't remember at all. I think as well, I've grown up in an environment where I'm going to be the first on the dance floor. If you've ever seen my mum, you all know that we are the first on the dance floor, like, breaking it down. The way I gained confidence is just through trial and error. and doing things that put me first. For so much of my adult life, I've put other people first. So this is really a journey of like me speaking up for myself. Like I said earlier, just leaving if I'm not feeling comfortable, saying no if I don't think it's going to be the environment for me, and also, you know, like working out who are my people, working out what my environments are that I feel comfortable in. I'm not probably gonna have the best time sober at a rave where I don't know any of the music. What I am gonna have a good time at though is a pop world. Put me in a fucking pop world and I will be a menace. Absolute fucking menace. I love that place so much and I haven't been back in years. I love a karaoke. And again, like, I think I've just built so much confidence in myself sober, and like, I know that I'm just gonna take that same tatty through on a night out with me. And you do just have to work out what works best for you, what drinks you like to have. So for example, on this night out tomorrow, I'm probably not going to have too many things with bubbles because it makes me feel bloated. Oh, and then I get a little insecure, and then I get all of these thoughts in my head, going back to the eating disorder side of things. I have to really keep that in check. So yeah, they're all little things that you'll pick up as you go along, and my journey will probably, or maybe a little bit different to what your journey is, and that's absolutely fine. Everyone is on their own path. We all have different personality traits. It's really hard. You just have to do it to know that you can, and that's, I think, a lesson that we should take with us through life. Like, you know, hard things are hard when we start them, and they do get easier the more we practice, and I'm not going to expect anyone to be good at something the first time they do it. So have that patience with yourself and give yourself grace if you feel uncomfortable. And if you get to, so say you start going out at like 7 and you get to 12 and you're thinking this really isn't for me, or you really have the urge to drink, have a fucking drink. Like, it's fine. Your relationship with alcohol doesn't have to be the same as mine. You know, you can drink on birthdays, you can drink every Friday if you want, you can have 0% alcohol. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not the biggest fan of 0% alcohol. There's only a select few Prosecco's that I love. There was one that Amelia got from Marks and Spencer's, I think, and it was just like a zero. What was it called? I'll have to find what it's called. It was so good. The Kylie 0% is also really nice, but I would rather have like a blackcurrant cordial or a peach and lemonade, a dash, a trip if they're on the menu, you know, things like that. And these are all just little things you pick up along the way. Oh, another massive thing when it comes to confidence. Wear something you feel so confident in. I don't want you to think that you have to wear... Have you ever had like a night out before where you've not felt the best about yourself and you just think, do you know what, I'll just have a couple of drinks and I'll forget. Like, I won't even be thinking about it. You can't do that when you're sober. So wear something for the start of the night where you feel really confident and comfortable in yourself. Try not to do anything crazy or new with your makeup or your hair. Do something that is comfortable and makes you feel your best. And also, little trick, normally by half the night, when it's gone by, a couple of hours in, babes, no one is going to be even on the realm of looking at what other people look like. They're just having the best time. They're having the best time. And you deserve to have the best time as well. Do you feel pressured to look after people on a night out? I used to say no, and now I do feel there's no pressure, it's more responsibility, more than anything. Like, my girls, they never expect me to look after people. They never get to the point where they're hammered just because they know that I'm there to pick up the pieces or whatever. And I think that is just like a normal friendship thing to do, or a mutual respect thing. Like, there's been so many times people are like, no, Tatty, you go and enjoy your night, I'll go sit with XYZ, or they're just like refreshing, or they've maybe been sick or whatever. But I want to know, as my sober person and as the person who is like most cognizant or whatever, that I have made sure that everybody is getting home safe, everyone has all their belongings, we are all looking after each other. If there's some weird people around, we're aware of them. We're not getting ourselves in situations where things could escalate, or it's getting uncomfortable, or anyone feels uncomfortable. I feel a responsibility, not a pressure. And if there is ever a time where people have had that expectation of me, I make a point not to do it, because I'm not going to reward bad behaviour. This is my new thing in my life right now. We're not rewarding bad behaviour. But yeah, all the people that I go out with now, they've never ever expected that of me. But I'm also like, I'm an acts of service friend, and I think that maybe comes out there. I just want everyone to be happy, healthy and safe, and I'm always going to do that for people at the end of a night. I'm always going to put you to bed if I have access to your hotel or your room. I'm going to put you to bed, cushions packed behind you, depending on how drunk you are, by the way. Like, if you're just a little bit tipsy, I'm not going to be doing all this, but If people are like really feeling it, I'm going to put you to bed on your side with a towel underneath your head, glass of water, take your makeup off, a bucket if you have one. Like I say, pack the cushions beside you. I will sleep in your room if I'm worried about you, to make sure that you're safe. And then the next morning we'll be there to debrief and we can all have a giggle about the night. And I also like to tell people, like, I don't judge anyone for what they do on a night out. Like the same way I wouldn't want to be judged, you know? I think we have a laugh together, but I will never laugh at someone, if that makes sense. He's going down a little treat, let me tell you that. Do you find people assume you have had an addiction or dependency on alcohol when you say that you're sober? Absolutely. It's quite funny actually, because people go, oh, is that like? And I'm like, no, like XYZ, and even if I had an addiction, I would probably talk about it. And hopefully in a similar way, because I feel so passionately about it, and I have so much respect for these individuals that are so insanely strong to overcome addiction. And it's such a hard thing to surpass or get over a dependency, and there's so many resources out there. And if you're watching this currently struggling with a dependency or an addiction on alcohol, I'm going to leave some resources down below. I can't comment on that side of things. I just have so much respect for you for even watching this video and wanting to get past it. That is often the first step, and I'm really proud of you. So I'll leave some little resources down there. But yeah, I think that was a bit of a shock when I first went sober, because it was just so normal to me that I wasn't expecting other people to assume that, which is fine. But what also happens then is people go, oh, well, I've considered it. And then they start to talk to you about their relationship with alcohol. And sometimes it's a bit like, oh, okay, right, well, we're in the middle of a club or we're in the bar at an event, and but it was kind of shocking at first, but I actually really, really love having those conversations now. Like I say, it's something that I'm so passionate about, and I want to encourage people to give a go. So if we're ever out and about, or you see me out and you want to have a chat about sobriety, please come and chat to me. I'm never going to judge. I'm never going to tell anyone what you've told me as well. Some things can be quite heavy, but that's fine. I'm just glad that I am able to be there for people to listen to people and hear their journey and advise and encourage. And my expertise only goes so far. I would always encourage anyone to see a doctor or a therapist or a professional if you are really worried about yourself or someone that you know. I feel like that is all I had planned to cover today. I do have a couple more sort of that medically side of things, but I know a lot of people are actually interested in that, so I will leave a video by Andrew Huberman down below, which, like I said, is pretty much the reason I decided that I was going to stay sober till the end of time. So I'll leave that down below, and you can have a little watch of that if you wish. It's quite long. I think it's like 3 hours, but if you take it in bite-sized portions, it's a lot easier to consume. And I also found writing notes was also really helpful, so I could remember the things that I found the most interesting, or I could do more research on. Yeah, I hope this has been helpful. And again, I just want to really state that I don't judge people for drinking. This is just for people who are sober curious and want to give it a go. Like, now truly is the best time. There's no day like the present. But also, if you're watching this in January or in peak beer garden season in July, now any time is a great time to go sober. I just think now is a good time so you can get your practice in before summer hits, before cocktails on the beach, things like that. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, guys. I know this has been a bit of a different video, and I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you next week. Mwah! Tatty bye.